enter some slow flight as our next maneuver. So for this maneuver is to be performed like you're setting up in the traffic pattern. The big difference from that to the traffic pattern is the fact that in the traffic pattern, you're planning on descending to the runway. In slow flight, you're planning on maintaining the altitude you're entering the maneuver at, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and descend down to 8,000 feet, reduce the power, lower the nose. You see how I'm making a direct intention to start at the altitude I want to start at. Don't just accept what you're at. Pick the altitude you want to be at and set up for that. So we're at 8,000 feet, my airspeed is at 100 miles per hour, and it's time to slow down. So setting up just like in the traffic pattern. Power comes back to 1700 RPM. Carb heat on, flaps 10 degrees, and right about this moment, I need to apply back pressure to maintain level flight. Holding, I'm actually going up, so I'm adding too much back pressure. I'm going to relax some of that back pressure to start going back down, while still slowing down. As I slow down and I'm holding altitude, I'll go ahead and apply more flaps, okay? There's 20 degrees of flaps, airspeed's now at 70 miles per hour, and now we'll go to 30 degrees of flaps, and I'll stop at about 65 miles per hour, which is my initial approach speed, okay? Not initial, which is my final approach speed at maximum gross weight for a short field. So that's gonna be my starting point here. So I'm gonna add power to maintain that speed, maintain that altitude, and hold slow flight, okay? There's 60, using a lot of power to maintain level flight in this bird. Okay, there we are. So about 1900, 2000 RPM to hold level altitude at 65. The thing about slow flight is you want to be good at controlling the aircraft at various speeds. So here, what's it like at 60? What's 60 miles per hour even look like outside? Okay, so we're going to pitch up a little bit to slow down, which actually means I need to reduce a touch of power in the moment to not go up. Okay, so now we're going to slow down to 60. There's 55. See that sight picture? Now what's 50 look like? That's 50 right there. How has it changed from 65, right? We're quite a bit more aggressive up there. I can barely see the horizon at 50, and I need to apply a lot more power to maintain level flight. I'm in a slight descent, and now I'm at 2100 RPM, and I'm in level flight, so more power is required at the slower airspeeds, okay? Now we slow down to even 45. This is 45 miles per hour, and we're able to maintain level flight. It's amazing. I'm at full power, which means I can turn the carb heat off also. I'm now at 40 and we're still flying and I'm not stalled. So that's the power of slow flight. I'm in control of this aircraft at the most slow speed that this airspeed even indicates, and I'm not stalled. I'm probably right on the edge of it, and I'm in control. So that's what we want to do to teach slow flight. I'm not using full right rudder, by the way, and I'm barely able to maintain going north. You'll see I'm probably a little bit veered to the left. I can't do much. The ailerons aren't doing much. So I'm probably at the VMC of this aircraft, the minimum controllable airspeed, which is good to be able to know where that limit's at. You want to be able to fly this plane at VMC, because what if you get yourself in a tight spot, right?
621 Victor.
To
the north, transitioning the area.
All right. So then recovering from slow flight is kind of tricky from this scenario, right? Because if I lower the nose, I'm going to descend. So you really lower the nose slightly, accelerate a little bit, gain that airspeed. Airspeed has a lot of effect in producing lift. Produce a little bit of airspeed, which will allow you to lower the nose a little bit more, which will give you more airspeed, which will allow you to lower the nose a little bit more. And the goal here is to go back to normal cruise in level flight. Flaps can start coming up at about the 60 mile an hour range for me, 20 degrees of flaps. With the reduction of flaps, you'll have to increase the back pressure because you're losing that lift from your angle of attack component with the flaps being down. So anytime you retract the flaps, anticipate adding a little bit more back pressure. You're still lowering the nose, but it's a back pressure rather than a forward pressure. And really, you have to be looking outside to get that reference. You're looking outside to know what types of input you're supposed to put in. And now I'm back to normal cruise. 90 miles per hour, level flight at 2300 RPM. So that's your slow flight. Now there'll be turns involved, and when there's turns involved with slow flight, again, you have a lack of vertical lift, so you want to be super shallow. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. So let me get back into slow flight. Power 1700 RPM, carb heat on, a little bit of back pressure as I apply 10 degrees of flaps, or as I input 10 degrees of flaps. We're slow. still applying a little bit of back pressure as I continue to add the flaps, and I'll go ahead and add another last 10 degrees of flaps, where I'll then start to apply power to that 1900 RPM range. There's 60 miles per hour. I'm going to get down to about 55 before stabilizing myself. About 2,000 RPM at 55 miles per hour. Now, when you're banking in slow flight, if you bank too steeply, you're going to go down, okay? If you bank at all, you might need an increase in power. So here, in the flying position with my hand on the throttle, when I enter this left bank, low left rudder, low left aileron, this is about all I want to bank. Because now it doesn't require any throttle input. You're still requiring a little bit of right rudder because I'm at a high power with the low airspeed. But airspeed's 55, I'm not making any elevator changes, it's already trimmed for this. I'm just using rudder and aileron to make sure it's not going to overbank on me, which is a massive tendency for it. A lot of times when you're not using enough rudder, that will be the thing that you feel, is it wanting to overbank to the left, because that's what it wants to do. It wants to yaw bank left. That's no rudder. You see how much quicker it goes? So the rudder's really there keeping you in some control of the aircraft, right? The shallow bank is the key. If I steepen up the bank, now watch what the nose does, right? It goes down, and now I have to pull up, and now what's my airspeed at, right? Because I had to increase that angle of attack in that moment, I lost a lot of the control, and now my airspeed's all over the place. I accelerated when going down, I slowed down when going up. I'm no longer at the same altitude I started at. So shallow banks, 5 degrees of bank. It's going to take forever to do this slow flight turn. It's okay. It's going to be easy because you don't have to do much. You just have to get yourself into the slight bank and then be patient and wait for it to come around. Here's the right turn. A lot of right rudders being inputted. We're at 50 miles per hour, and I'm using about a 5 degree bank. 10 degree max. It's going to take a while if I were to do a 180 or even a 360. I'm not going to do the full turn, but this is what the examiner is looking for during that test is, hey, you don't want to be really strong and now you're risking a stall or something of that sort. You want to be as safe as possible. You want to be in this zone right here where the examiner's not worried about you stalling it. They're not worried about you losing altitude and graveyard spiraling into the ground. They know you know what you're doing. So that is slow flight for you. To recover, we go full power, carb heat off, a little bit of forward pressure as we raise flaps up to 20 degrees immediately. I can do that because I'm already pretty fast. I'm not at the 40 mile per hour range. If I did that 40, I would likely stall or lose a lot of altitude right off the bat. And now here we are, as we accelerate, we can continue to bring the flaps the rest of the way up, trim with forward pressure, and reduce the power back to cruise power. Right on, and that is your slow flight lesson. I hope you liked it. If you enjoyed this video, please like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you have any tips, tricks of your own, or any requests of your own, anything you'd like to see me do in an aircraft, please leave a comment, and I'll see if I can get to that as soon as I can.